Hey everyone, I'm Kai Chimura, the host of Soccerpedia podcast. For today's episode, I am excited to have Pablo Punyed to be a guest on this episode. Pablo is an international soccer player for El Salvador. He currently plays for KR Reykjavik in Iceland's top division. For the El Salvador national team, Pablo has made 24 appearances and has scored 3 goals. He was a part of El Salvador's 2015 CONCACAF Gold Cup squad. And so I'm very excited to have him. And without further ado, here's the show.
Good, man.
Good. You can hear me okay?
I hear you just fine. Let me start my video.
Yeah, no problem.
You hear me all right?
Yes, I hear you good. How's the weather in Iceland?
It's actually really warm today. 20 degrees Celsius. So
It's kind of, yeah, it's still August, so it's kind of, it's still in the summer months.
yeah, but it was just like even the wind and any breeze was warm and it's been raining a lot, so it was humid too, and that makes it a little bit warmer when it goes to the up on the scale. So, but it was nice. It was just beautiful football weather.
Yeah. Let's get started here. So you've been playing in Iceland since 2012, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
how is your Icelandic language? Are you fluent?
Yeah, I'd say I'm about 95% there. So
Okay.
I can speak it, I can write it, and I can read it as well.
Hmm.
So it's been easier having my wife's daughters as well with us. Then
Nice.
we kind of learned together.
Yeah.
And then my daughter was born last year, so that allowed us as well to anytime you see a children's book or anything like that, like
Yeah.
you pretty much have to use that baby language, and it
Oh,
makes learning a little bit easier.
yeah. Was it hard to get accustomed to the Icelandic culture at first when you first moved?
Yeah, the Scandinavian culture is a little bit, I'd say, colder than the Latin culture.
Yeah.
Uh, but once once you penetrate that, I guess, cold exterior, they are amazing people and really warm, and they're really loyal people, and I love that. The culture is really really honest, and that's just fun.
Yeah. So you're originally from the United States and you represent El Salvador's national team. So I was going to ask you what made you eligible for El Salvador? Which are both your parents from there, or one, or how did
Yeah,
that?
my dad's from El Salvador. My mom's from Nicaragua,
Okay.
and curiously enough, my brother plays for the Nicaragua national team, and I play for the El Salvador one. So that's where that dual, I guess that double choice could have come from.
Yeah.
But I was born in the States. I was born in Miami, and I was raised in El Salvador as well. So actually, my first memories are from being in El Salvador, being around my family there, and I just, I took it well to heart, and it's I'm very fond. And ever since I was growing up, people would ask me, "Where are you from?" El Salvador. That was like the first answer that came to mind. So when the option came to play for them, it was a really easy choice.
Hmm. Okay. And how come your brother decided to play for Nicaragua and not El Salvador?
Honestly, that's a question for him, but I would wager to think that they got to him first.
Hmm.
He like I never got contacted by the Nicaraguan Federation or anything like that. So he did, and that gave him an opportunity to play for them, and he's had some really cool games under his belt. So that's
Yeah.
it's a good adventure for him.
Have you ever played against him, like El Salvador versus Nicaragua?
No, I've never played against him, but I played against Nicaragua before he was
Mm.
on the national team. So, but
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. I do hope it happens. That's going to be a really fun game.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like being called up by the national team? Like, how do you know you're being called up? Do you get an email? Do you get a phone call by the federation? How does that work?
Usually, it happens that the team coordinator they contact me directly just to make sure that I've been healthy, and of course they're following my games and can see that I've consistently been playing, and hey, listen, we're thinking about calling you up. Uh, you know, what do you think your team might have for or against that? What kind of travel are we going to talk about? Because most of the times when we play friendly matches with El Salvador, we play them in the
Yeah.
States. So it's either LA, Houston, New York, that kind of DC.
Mhm.
We play in those big cities, and so there's always that to think about the travel.
Mhm.
Then they'll send an email to the club, and the club has to give permission for me to go, because I am a contracted player for the club, and they are basically giving permission to say, yeah, you can have him for the next week or so, or however long the FIFA date is.
Okay. I was always curious about how that all national call-ups work. It's like, it's not
Yeah.
like the head coach just gives you a phone call, say, hey, are you available?
He does sometimes,
Oh,
so it depends on the coach as well, right? Because I've had a few national team coaches, and a few of them are really personal, and they'll call you and they'll give you a nice chat and talk about the upcoming games and stuff, and you kind of get that warm sensation from them.
yeah.
And other coaches, they don't want to deal with the player directly, and they let their staff do it. But yeah, actually, before I was involved, I was always curious about that too, and it's really simple, but there's a lot of logistics that come into it that need to be flattened out before I can actually go.
Mm, got you. And I look, and it said that you played for St. John's Red Storm, correct? And
That's right.
was that your first choice to play there collegially, or were there other schools that you were interested in?
You know, it was a really easy choice once uh, I suppose, got groomed to go there by their head coach, Coach Mazer. He was a great mentor of mine when I was there, and still is today. And he, once he told me, listen, we really want you to come, and these are the kind of what we see for you in the next 4 years, and what we can see for you in your football career, whether as a player or as a coach, because you really never know. But St. John's University, I didn't really know much about it, to be honest. But while I was there, we were ranked number one for many months in the NCAA, and we went to the Final Four. We won 3 Big East titles and regular season titles. So it was a lot of good winning culture there, and that's I suppose they had some titles before that, and what swayed me was that New York was the city that I had always wanted to live in, and it was an amazing choice. I did have other choices. Harvard was one of them, for example. They wanted me. Good thing I didn't go, because their coach was fired towards the end of the year, right before I would have started, I guess. So that would have maybe had a little bit of conflict of interest as to how well I would have fit in. And there were other smaller universities that definitely would have liked to have me, but it was really set in stone for me when I went to New York and St. John's.
And after you completed your college career, you immediately went into play in Iceland. Why Iceland? Why, or were there other countries and leagues that were interested in you?
Well, namely, Sporting Kansas City, they drafted me in the supplemental draft. And, I had already made the choice to go to Iceland. My now wife was my girlfriend then. So I didn't get chosen in the first draft, in the super draft, which at the time was 2 rounds only. And, so I said, okay, I haven't been chosen. I'm just going to take a short vacation, go to Iceland, never been there. Never really going to have another chance to visit. So what the hell, I'm just going to go and see what comes of it. And I always take my football boots with me. And, I went to a couple of trainings with a few teams here and 2 teams here. And, it was, after the first training, one of the teams gave me a contract, and I said I'd think about it for a little bit, and ended up signing with them. So it was kind of not quote unquote the first choice country that I would have gone to. And at the time, Iceland wasn't renowned. Now they are, well known throughout the world, especially after what they've done in the Euros and the World Cup. So, it's been fun being here in Iceland while they are having all this success in the international level. And it's given me and El Salvador particularly kind of a beacon of hope that, a small country playing against the big boys can do well.
Yeah, because El Salvador, they haven't qualified for the World Cup since the 1982 World Cup, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where do you see El Salvador's future going into the 2022 World Cup?
2 weeks ago, that question would have been, we're in the hexagonal, because that was at the time the CONCACAF setup. And I would have told you, listen, we're anything can happen, right? Because coming to El Salvador to play, it's a really tough place for most teams. And of course, you always have to take a win against a Mexico or a US, namely at home. But if you can get a couple of points away, that's awesome. And we would have built to that, and I think we would have been challenging for that 3rd spot, if not the 4th playoff spot that would have given us a chance to go to the World Cup. Now, CONCACAF changed it, so it's an octagonal, and we have to go through a much longer process. So it kind of changes the picture a little bit. So we've, as a team, just decided to take it step by step. Our end goal is trying to make it to the World Cup, and then if we work backwards into the octagonal, and being top of the group now there's 5 teams, 6 groups or something. So it's a huge mess that CONCACAF made, but we just have to kind of buckle our belt and go through those qualifying games.
Yeah, I think this year kind of messed up and ruined a lot of plans for a lot of different leagues. So with I'll go dive into your into your international career. You made your debut back in 2014, and at least according to Wikipedia, you have 24 caps and scored 3 goals. So what team did you make your debut against, and how was that moment for you?
It was an amazing moment, really, because this was October 2014, and we played against Colombia in New York, and this was Colombia coming off their great run at the World Cup, at the 2014 World Cup. And they were fired up. I mean, they had some really good players. James had just signed for Real Madrid. Falcao actually was coming back from injury. He had missed the World Cup. So, they had a really big name players at the time that made the game even more exciting for me, not to mention that it was my first cap. And I got to start that game, played the 90 minutes, and it was a lot of fun. And for me, it was kind of a turning point where, there's a difference, of course, in quality in the players, but it isn't that much. It's maybe 1-2% kind of difference. That, of course, it's the difference between a world-class player and a professional performer. But it allowed me in particular to realize that, these are the kind of games I want to play every week. So it was a fun experience, and I was really, really, really proud to play that game. And it's just one of those dream games that don't go your way, but out there I just had a blast. And when I think back to it was really cool that it was against a top opponent like that. It kind of took all the pressure away from me, because I was just out there to play, and I was not particularly known to any of the players and stuff. So for me, it was just go out there, have fun, make your debut, and move on, right? So it was really cool.
Nice. And you were also a part of El Salvador's 2015 Gold Cup squad. How's that like, and what kind of preparations did the team have to go through to get ready for that tournament?
Yeah, we actually did a really good preparation and had a really good camp before that. We had a Spanish coach at the time, Albert Roca, and he was, if not the best coach I've ever had, one of the best. And he prepared the game so well. And we were really unlucky. We outplayed all 3 teams that we played against. We played Canada, Costa Rica, and Jamaica, and we outplayed all 3 teams. And unfortunately, we didn't concrete, the opportunities that came in front of us. But we played really well, really attractive football, and it made us realize, like, okay, we can tie Canada, all right, we can tie Costa Rica, and we were literally 1 goal away from qualifying, scoring against Jamaica, and Jamaica are really physical. They're a really good team, and they made it all the way to the final, I think, that year, or semifinals or anything. But they were just a really good team. So we lost that game 1-0. But again, we conceded 2 goals in 3 games. Unfortunately, we only scored 1 goal in 3 games. So it kind of lets you see that we were in the tournament up until the last whistle was blown against Jamaica in the 3rd game. So we were really proud of ourselves. We had a good run, and for me, it was my first international tournament, so it was really cool to be a part of that.
And of course, last year there was also the Gold Cup as well that El Salvador was a part of. You weren't on the roster. No. Was there a reason, or you hurt? Or
no, the coach, it was a different coach, and we didn't see eye to eye in a couple of things, and we of course we had respect for each other, but I understood that I wasn't the top pick for him. So, and I wasn't, at the time, I wasn't playing my best football. This was, I guess, towards the end of 2018, early 2019, when he was making these kind of choices. But I think personally, 2019 was a great year for me. And I was, of course, disappointed not to be part of that squad. But, I always considered myself part of the national team. And even though I wasn't chosen, I supported my teammates. And I'm looking forward to now just kind of solidifying that spot. I've got a few goals that I want to reach with the national team.
And with El Salvador, when I checked, most of the roster does play their soccer, their club soccer in El Salvador, with a few that plays outside in North America and even in Europe. You're one of the few players that plays in Europe. The other one, I think, is Dennis Pineda, that plays in Portugal.
That's right. Yeah.
Where do you think that El Salvador should advocate for players to try to play in Europe or MLS potentially?
That's a good question because it depends. Players are. I know it's a cop-out answer. That it depends, but players not everybody's meant to be away from home. And not everybody can perform consistently away from home. And the culture in El Salvador is very, very unique, and people love being. I miss it every day. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for my family as well. But there are a few goals that I've set for myself that take me a different path. In a different life, I think I would have played all my club soccer in El Salvador. So again, it depends. People can make their choices. I think quality wise and in terms of the personnel that we have, our top players from El Salvador could easily be playing abroad, could easily be playing in Europe or MLS. There's I suppose there's a stigma against Latin American players that they can be a little bit lazy or not as professional. So I guess we need to clean that image before we can allow ourselves to, and by ourselves I mean of course players from El Salvador to be able to play in these bigger leagues, so that teams can take a chance on us.
Mm-hmm. And back to the leagues, you've been in Iceland since 2012. You've played for, I think, four or five different clubs. Four.
Mm.
And so let me see if I may butcher some of them. You've played for Fjölnir, Fylkir, Stjarnan, and KR Reykjavik.
Yeah. There's also IBV.
IBV. Oh yeah, I had it right.
Yeah, between Stjarnan and KR. But yeah, you actually said them quite well.
Oh, it's probably because speaking of Scandinavia, my mom is from Finland, so it's
nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of that helps a bit, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So you've played for 5 different teams, and in 6, or now it's 8 years, so it's not it's a little bit of time. I was saying, like, does whenever you play against, let's say, IBV or Stjarnan, is there like some sort of not necessarily rivalry tension between that? What do you think?
I think I have more. So for example, with Stjarnan, we won the league and we had really cool European games as well in the qualifiers. And, I gave everything that I had for them, and my contract ran out and we didn't reach an agreement, and I moved on, so I left things quite well there, and we won the first title ever in their history. So that was good times there. And so there's no animosity between me and them. It's just cool, move on, and next chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
IBV, same thing. They hadn't won a title since '99 or something. We ended up winning the cup in 2017, and that was great for them. And we made it to the cup final 2 years in a row. So I love being part of teams that are always looking to win. And I guess the biggest club in Iceland, historically at least, is KR. So if I was going to make a change yet again, when I was at IBV, I realized, okay, I need to be at the top dog, right? I need to be at the top place where and they hadn't won a title since 2013, at least a league title since 2013. So there was a bit of pressure at KR, and I love that kind of pressure. So we ended up winning it last year, 2019, and it's been fun. So again, I've left it quite well with all the teams, and just been that my contract runs out and we don't reach an agreement. But I'm really proud of the work I've done at each of the clubs, and I've learned a lot along the way, especially dealing with that image that you talk about. Am I gonna look back and say, hey, I got to play a little bit harder against these kind of teams, or should I ease off here? None of that. It's on the pitch. I'm playing for the team that I'm playing at the moment, and then off the pitch I can be friends or whatever with the other guys. So it's just that kind of feeling.
Yeah. When you were with Stjarnan, because you mentioned the European games, was that the season when you guys played Inter Milan?
Yeah, that's right.
And and you played against them in San Siro, correct?
Yeah.
What was that like? That must have been one of your personal high-profile matches in your career. What was that like?
Definitely. It's a dream as well. And this was before I was called up for the national team. So that was, I suppose I told you before that, when I played Colombia, that was the kind of games I want to play every week. And that this was the kind of the beginning of that, right? Where wow, this is really cool. And getting over the fact of the stadium and the players you're playing against, it was just exactly another game. Like, there might have been 50 or 60,000 people at the game. They close off the top tier, and San Siro can take about 80 or 90. I don't even know. So it was a really cool atmosphere. And Inter, of course, they needed to qualify to Europe. It's a team that financially depends on being in the group stages in European competitions every year. So, of course, they dominated us. But it was a really cool game for us to participate in. And personally, I had a decent game against them, and it was a lot of fun. San Siro, of course, one of the cathedrals of soccer in the soccer world. Amazing. I told the referee, don't finish the game. Don't finish the game. Just don't blow the whistle. I said, come on, 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. I told him. It was really cool.
And with Stjarnan, I think the team gained some worldwide fame. I don't know if this is the time you were still playing, but at least roughly in the early 2010s, they were known for their very extraordinary celebrations and goal celebrations. Did they still continue that tradition when you were playing with them?
Not really. No, it was under a different coach at the time when they were doing these kind of celebrations. And my year was when I arrived at Iceland, it was that head coach's first year as well. And he kind of put this as a baseline, like, none of this BS, right? Like, hey, we're here. We're gonna focus on getting a good result. We're gonna focus on doing well and trying to get a title while I'm here. Mm-hmm. So, and he's still there, and he's done a good job of kind of turning Stjarnan into a top 3, top 4 club in Iceland. And the celebrations were really funny to watch, and they were really creative. And some of those guys are still playing at Stjarnan, so really, really funny. And I hadn't noticed that it was that team that I was joining at the time. But once I was there and I got this in question consistently, I always ask the guys, why don't we do it? No, the coach won't let us. He said he'll get really mad. So it's like, okay, fine, that's no problem. So it was just kind of cycled out of it, I guess.
And with your current team, KR Reykjavik, you guys were champions this past season, and now you guys are up against Celtic in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers. How's the team feeling against that Celtic in that game?
It kind of changes the perspective that it's only one game, so it's not home and away. And anything can really happen in 90 minutes because, a foul, a silly yellow, a silly red or something, it changes the perspective of the game. They're on paper, they're a better side, right? They're a more high profile side than us. And Celtic is one of those clubs that depends on being in the group stages financially as well. So they're going to want to beat us, and move on. But that kind of makes it dangerous for them as well, right? Because they'll leave a few gaps behind them, and it'll be a fun game for the neutral person, for the neutral supporter. And we're hoping to make a surprise.
And where do you see yourself, let's say in 5 years' time? Do you still see yourself playing in Iceland, or do you see yourself moving to other leagues to try to test new waters? What do you personally think?
We'll see. I'm not sure yet. My daughter is young and she's starting school, kindergarten soon, and so it kind of puts a little bit of a question mark on that question. I see myself playing, that's for sure. I don't know whether it be in Iceland or abroad. I haven't had a attractive offer come in where I can say, yeah, you know what, let's take that chance. There's been offers from literally around the world, from all different continents, but it hasn't been one where I'm willing to take my wife, who's Icelandic, halfway across the world for kind of like a 20% increase maybe in salary or anything like that. It needs to be something where I'm like, okay, wow, yeah, let's make that move so that we can test new waters and stuff like that. And there, of course, there hasn't been a high profile team either come in where I'm like, yeah, don't worry about how much, let's just go there, right? But yeah, I do see myself testing a different league before I retire.
Okay. So when you first moved into Iceland, do you like the cuisines in Iceland, or do you miss El Salvadorian food or American food? What's your take?
Yeah, I guess both, right? Because Icelandic cuisine is phenomenal. I mean, the fish here is just amazing, and the lamb, wow. I mean, especially slow cooked lamb or anything. Wow, it's just amazing. I do miss like the fresh fruit, for example, that you can get in El Salvador. The vegetables as well, right? They're a little bit more, I guess, straight from the field as opposed to being shipped over here. That's probably the one thing I miss, and of course, the family aspect of eating meals with my extended family as well in El Salvador. That's definitely something I miss. But Icelandic meals, they are phenomenal. I don't know if Finland has a good fishing industry. I don't know much about Finland, to be honest, but
yeah, they of course, because Finland borders the Baltic Sea, so there's fishing industries out there.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have good salmon. Salmon's top quality in
Nice.
Finland. But I know Iceland definitely probably has the better whaling industry and shark industry, possibly.
You know, it's gone down a lot since I moved here. Both the whaling and the shark industry, but they do tend to control the population of fish so that they can have fish all year round, because Iceland is an island. It depends on the fishing industry to survive, so it needs to control the way that people control, I guess, reindeer or anything like that around the world, right? Or any other predator that would take either I guess vegetables, plants, or smaller animals. They control whales here, so that's something that is done very, very carefully, and nothing is wasted. Like, it's not like they are hunting them for a specific item and throw the rest away. No, it's the whole whale is seen as a commodity, and they ensure that it's not one of the endangered whales either. It's it's an overpopulation kind of thing when they do get a whale. And I've tasted it. It tastes really good, to be honest. I've tasted minke whale, so that's the only whale I've tasted, and it tastes quite good. Very steaky. But other than that, I think just the fish here is phenomenal. The cod, Atlantic cod, and the salmon, like you said, it's just really good.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anybody to try to pursue to become a professional soccer player?
I mean, one advice is really hard, but I'd say that, you got to consider what I would say the 4 or 5 pillars of health, which is, are you eating well? Not maybe not well, but are you eating healthy, right? Are you eating like really, you got to be eating really healthy. It is a 24-hour job, so everything surrounding it, the other 22 hours that you're not training, are basically the most important for soccer. Are you sleeping well? That would be number 2. Number 3, are you training and recovering well? Are you thinking well? And then, is the physical part, technical part of the game something that you can excel at? And these are the kind of components that I would say you got to have everything holding you up. Otherwise, one of them is down, and in a couple of years you crumble. So you need to really focus on all the perspectives of soccer. And then, is it something that you're having fun with, right? Like, is soccer something you enjoy? If it is, then go for it, because you don't necessarily have to make a living by playing soccer. You can coach as well. You can become a commentator. You can, there's a full industry surrounding soccer. So I love it, and I love talking about it and watching it and playing it and coaching it and doing everything like that. So it's part of what I've created for myself, and I really enjoy it. So that's something I would maybe put at the top of the list, is that passion, and then everything that holds that passion together, which are, I guess, the pillars of that I spoke about.
And you mentioned coaching and getting into commentator. After your professional playing career is over, do you see yourself becoming a coach or a commentator?
Yeah, definitely. It would be really cool to be a college coach, for example, because you deal with kids between the ages of 18 and 22, really, and willing to learn, kind of in that middle ground. Am I going to take the step pro, or am I going to go somewhere else? And part of coaching is building good humans and good individuals. So that's something that I would see myself doing, and creating that culture where they can use everything they learn with me beyond, and commentating for sure. It'd be really fun. I'm not sure I'd be any good at it right now, but it's definitely something I would consider, or maybe just analyzing, not necessarily commentating, but analyzing the game. that'd be something that I'd have a lot of fun with. Yeah.
Mm. And speaking of commentating, I'm sure when you were living in Iceland, Iceland made it to the Euros in 2016. I'm sure the world famous Icelandic commentator was definitely shot his stock value very high during that tournament. So that's what kind of that reminds me of, which is very.
He's actually a really good KR supporter. So I've got to know him quite well over the last couple of years, and he's a great guy. And that's his passion for soccer, you know, and he was a great striker before, actually, in the Icelandic league back in his playing days. And, you know, he lives for that soccer. You can hear it while, you know, it doesn't matter if you understand the language or not, you know, you can just, wow, you think, yeah, this guy really loves what he does, you know? And that's the secret of it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Pablo, I know it's getting a little bit late in Iceland, and I want to say thank you very much for having the time to be on my podcast. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season, and good luck against Celtic in the Champions League qualifiers, and for El Salvador in their quest for World Cup 2022.
Thanks, Kai. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.